Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. Excuse me. It is almost September. It is September on Tuesday. Today is Sunday. That means it's almost autumn. Therefore, it's almost Christmas. It's very exciting. I'm here today to do my August wrap-up. I read some brilliant books in August. I went on holiday for a week in August and got some really good reading done. And I've got a couple of 5-star, well, one 5-star I think, and some 4 stars as well. So really, really good reading in August. And I will get started with what I started the month reading. So I started the month reading The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. I read this for my book club at work. I enjoyed this. I was frustrated by the end because I wasn't happy with the way it ended. It wasn't, in my eyes, a happy ending. And I don't always have to have a happy ending in a book, but in this book I became quite attached to the characters and wanted a happy ending. So this book tells the tale of a couple who live on a secluded island. He is in charge of the lighthouse there, and they've been trying for a baby with no luck. She's had miscarriages, she's had a stillborn, and one day a boat washes up on the shore with a dead man inside and a newborn baby. And then this book deals with the fallout with whether they should decide to keep it or contact somebody on the mainland and say this baby's washed up, and then also deals with the the backstory of the lady who the baby belongs to, and it all sort of comes together in a big dramatic ending. So I enjoyed this. I thought the description of I think they lived in New Zealand. God, it feels like a million years ago. The description of New Zealand and things like that were beautiful, and I loved hearing about the secluded island and things like that. But as I said, it didn't come together for me at the end. I was very frustrated with the ending, but it was very well received at book club and everybody seemed to really enjoy it. So I gave this one 3 stars, I believe. Next, I read To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I was reading this ahead of reading Go Set a Watchman. Go Set a Watchman I've seen in the shops and is absolutely mahasive and is a hardback. So I do feel tempted to wait for it to come out in paperback just because I'm not a big hardback lover. I'd read this before and revisited it. I read it it must have been about 3 or 4 years ago, and really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it even more this time. So looking forward to reading Go Set a Watchman. I've watched quite a few reviews on it, and some people like it, some people don't like it. One of my friends who reads a lot of similar things to me has read it, and he said that he wasn't mad on it, and I tend to agree with him when it comes to book reviews. But yeah, so I just wanted to read that just ahead of reading Go Set a Watchman, just to remind myself, and I gave it 4 stars, the same as I did when I read it a couple of years ago. So the next 2 books I read were Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander, aka J.K. Rowling, and also J.K. Rowling writing as Kenilworth Wisp, Quidditch Through the Ages. So my dad has these in a set with The Tale of Beedle the Bard, which I didn't actually get round to reading, which was very small, so I've no excuses really. And after I'd done the Harry Potter tag, and my boyfriend's reading the Harry Potters from beginning to end at the moment, and Ryan, when I was on holiday, was reading Harry Potters, I was just like, I want to read some Harry Potter stuff. So I read these 2, which I'd never read before, and really, really loved them. So this Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, they're making it into a film, and they've started filming it. It's got Eddie Redmayne in it. And who?
Colin Farrell.
And Colin Farrell in it. So excited about that. Always love a Harry Potter film. I never want Harry Potter to end, so just keep it going. Just keep it going. Remake the films. Just keep going. So those 2 are great, and I gave them, I think I gave Quidditch Through the Ages 3 stars, and I gave Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 4 stars. But anything written by J.K. Rowling is like amazing to me. So very good, those 2. Then I got onto my holiday reading. The first book I read was Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I was also reading this for my radio book club, and it has been discussed now. I loved this. I've read a few Rainbow Rowell books. I've read Landline, which I wasn't mad about, and Attachments, which I loved. And this is so they're like adult fiction, and this is young adult, and I absolutely loved this. It was so cute. It was about two young people set in the 80s, Eleanor and Park. They're at school in America, and they're both from very different backgrounds. Eleanor's from quite a troubled background. Her mum's remarried and her stepdad is a complete arsehole, and Park is from a very happy background, and they meet on the bus and they fall in love, and it's just really cute and lovely. And then it sort of takes a bit of a serious turn, and Eleanor has some more home troubles and troubles at school, and it all sort of culminates at the end, and then there's a big ending, and then like a bit of something at the end that makes you think, So I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but this is lovely. If you love a young adult and you're looking for a nice easy read, then I definitely recommend this. I think I gave this 4 stars, and I read it on holiday, and my friend Kate read it on holiday as well, and we're both like, oh my god, what bit are you up to, blah blah blah. And I really loved it. So yeah, good book, good beach read, would recommend. The next book I read, and this was my 5-star book for the month, was This One Summer by Gillian Tamakai and Mariko Tamakai. So I had seen this reviewed on BookTube. Such a frog in my throat today. Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings had reviewed it and said it was lovely, and I really am loving graphic novels. I've read 3 now, and I'm hoping to read 1 a month just to keep it going. And I'd seen the review for this and thought it looked amazing, and it had a really cool storyline, so I got it and I absolutely loved it. I whizzed through it. I started it one night and finished it the next morning. Obviously there is no font, so it's not going to take me forever, but it was just lovely, and the illustrations were gorgeous. They've all got this like purple hue to them. I should have found a bit. I've got some really favourite parts in here. I mean, here got some purple hues to them, and it's just a lovely story. It's a story of 2 girls that go on holiday to the same place every year, and they meet up there, Windy and Rose, and they just have some sort of like just normal times basically. And then I think Windy, one of them, oh my goodness me, I can't remember which one's the oldest one, so the older one of the 2 is sort of looking to become a bit more grown up and sees these grown up like teenage children who she wants to spend more time with, and they become a bit obsessed with them, and then something happens, and yeah, I just loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it. I know I've got somebody, my friend wants to borrow this, but if people are looking to get into graphic novels, then I would definitely give this a go, and I love it. And I just feel like this is something I'll revisit all the time because it was just such a pleasure to read, and it was a 5-star book, so well done Tamakai's. The next book I read was Lorelei by Laura Dockrill. I read this when I was on holiday as well, and I'm absolutely glad I did because it is a tale set in Hastings, which is, if for those that don't know, is a sort of, maybe, I wouldn't, tired seaside town, but it's lovely. It's got really charming and things like that. The old town's lovely, and it's about a young boy, Rory, who finds a girl, Lorelei, washed up on the seafront, and it turns out that she is a mermaid. So it tells it from 3 different points of view: the mermaid's point of view, Lorelei's, Rory's point of view, and the point of view of the sea, which is sort of like the backstory of mermaids and how mermaids come to be made. And it also tells the story of these pirates who are really well turned out, and they've got these crisp white shirts on, and they spend hours getting ready in the morning, having baths and things like this. And I love this. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And it was just such a pleasure to read, an easy read. I've spoken to somebody else who I know who has read it, and she said she wasn't really happy with the ending. She thought it was a bit blur. But I loved it, and I thought it all tied it up really nicely. And this book is just beautiful. It's got all scales on the front. It's a bit battered now where I was reading it on the beach. But it's beautiful. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a lovely book, and I gave that 4 stars. The next book I read was Looking for Alaska by John Green. I also read this on holiday. So this tells the story of Miles, a young lad who has been sent to, what are those schools called, where they send you away to schools? Boarding school, and he meets a group of friends there, and he falls for this girl called Alaska. Now something happens to Alaska halfway through the book, and then so it's on a countdown. The first half of the book is on the countdown to when the thing happens, and then the second half is counting after it's happened. And I sort of flicked through and saw that and thought, oh, I wonder what is going to happen. I really enjoyed this. I love John Green. I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Paper Towns. A lot of people said they found it very similar to Paper Towns, and I can see Alaska is a very similar character to that of Margot. Is it Margot? Margot in Paper Towns? I think it is Margot. So they're very similar characters, but yeah, I love this, and yeah, really enjoyed it. I think I gave this 3 stars. The next book I read was the book that I read for my online book club that we will be discussing this evening, and that is Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. So my cousin has borrowed this off of me at the moment, but I absolutely love this. Now, by no means is this a happy book that you're going to put down and think, oh, what a lovely story, or didn't it have a happy ending, because that is not what the book is about. It is a book set in future Europe where human bodies have now developed so that women cannot give birth to girls. So I think what's happened in the past is that so many people were so obsessed with having sons and carrying on the family name that they've had abortions, etc. And the female body now rejects having girls. So girls are created in a lab and then they are sent to a school where they're taught to be good wives. So it's all very, very superficial. If you aren't pretty enough, if you aren't thin enough, then you will become a prostitute, basically, and if failing that, if you don't want to be one of those, then you will have to shave your head and become a teacher at this school, teaching women how to be good wives. So this book is so superficial. Every week the girls are taking photos of themselves and loading them up onto websites, and they're getting graded all through the year, and then they have like prettiest competitions. Everyone notices if you've even put on a pound. Everyone's looking at what you're eating, and it's just the bitchiest thing I've ever read. But I was engrossed in it. I couldn't put it down. I really, really liked it, and I'm really interested to read some more of Louise O'Neill's stuff. So I've read I've watched reviews before about it, and it is true. It's a very triggering book. So it's very triggering in terms of like things like bulimia and anorexia and poor self-esteem and things like that. But I really enjoyed it, and I would really recommend it as a as a good engrossing read. So a lot of people had compared it to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I didn't think it was like that. Obviously that is a like dystopian adult fiction book, and this is a young adult book. So I can see where sort of like the plot probably has slight crossovers in terms of like being a good wife or being a prostitute. But this book was just, I really, really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars, and now I feel like maybe I should have given it 5. But yeah, that was a brilliant, brilliant book, and I'm really looking forward to discussing it with the other guys tonight and finding out what they thought of it. The next book I read was The Spectacular Now by Tim Tharp. This I have found out has been made into a film as well, with Miles Teller and the girl that is in Divergent, and I can't remember her name. I watched the trailer and I thought the trailer looked really good, and I enjoyed the book. It was a bit different young adult. It wasn't sort of like, oh, poor me, poor me. I enjoyed it, and the main character was a bit different, and he had a bit of pizzazz to him. Yeah, and quite enjoyed, and it was a 3-star book for me. So now, that is how many books I've read. So I've read 10 books. I'm halfway through A Tale for the Time Being with Ruth Fazecki. I was doing a buddy read of this with Katie from Books and Things. She finished it in 1 day. I mean, I am a fast reader, but I did not finish it in 1 day. I believe she was on a very long train journey. I'm halfway through this, but I think I'm going to have to stop reading it for the time being, because I need to read Tara Road by Maeve Binchy by Tuesday. And this is over 600 pages long, so I've got a task on my hands. So I'm going to give this a go for the rest of the day, and then I'm going to start this before I go to bed. And Monday is bank holiday, so I'm hoping to read it. So that is all the books that I have read in the month of August. That is, if I manage to get these 2 done as well, that will be 12 books, which is pretty impressive, I think. My favourite book, I mean, I've read some really good books this month, but my favourite was This One Summer by Gillian Tamakai and Mariko Tamakai. And yeah, so I think I did very, very well. I'm very pleased with myself, and I will see you all soon next week for another booktube video. Thanks, Anne. Bye. Will you take a thumbnail of me?
Thumbnail.
Oh, woo!